Hi folks, we've had the XL back out on the track again, which was a lot of fun, as always. Couple of little maintenance things that we did leading up to it this time, just threw a few bits on video, more or less so I can keep track of the build myself, give me a bit of motivation and inspiration to take the next move forward in the build process. I thought I'd share it with you guys too, and hope you enjoy it. Got nice, what look to be fairly new NGK spark plug leads on here, so for the time being they're staying.
Time to change the spark plugs.
1, 2, 3, 4. So number 1 leads to spark plug number 1, number 2 leads to spark plug number 2, etc, etc.
Okay, I had originally intended that this was going to be a little bit like a how-to video, but there's way too many of them already. And seriously, why do you need another one of those to look at? I was actually going to change the spark plugs on my mum's front lawn as soon as I picked them up from the auto shop, and then I checked out Chris Fix and his channel on changing spark plugs. And he gave me a good bit of advice. This is one of the things he said was make sure before you take the spark plug out to clean or get some compressed air and clean down inside the chamber where the spark plug's coming out of, so you don't knock dirt into the head and ultimately into the engine, causing more wear and tear than is necessary. So I'm glad I actually watched the video on that and figured out what to do before I jumped in and had a crack. Matt Hull on the Nugget Project's got a really good one on changing the spark plugs on your Hyundai XL as well. So check out a couple of videos before you just jump in and do it, because you might find you learn something quite interesting as you go. I thought I'd save you the trouble of another how to change your spark plug videos anyway. But we did them, we changed them. I've put some good quality iridium spark plugs in there, so a bit of a hotter spark, so more power potentially. maybe more power. Anyway, that was another maintenance job done. Next was coolant. Again, watch the video on how to do it, because I've never actually worked on a car with a radiator before. Everything else I've worked on has been air-cooled. So they mentioned this little valve thing is supposed to be the draining point for your radiator. Oh yeah, and open this up so it flows out faster. Oh, it was raining as well that day, so that's why the car's soaking wet, not because I've already managed to get water everywhere. But yeah, that was going to take way too long, so I went for the main lower hose coming out of the back of the radiator and decided that I'd just yank that out of the engine instead. Word to the wise though, you can see I'm on my driveway here because my shed's full of other vehicles. I would highly recommend that before you go and yank this pipe off the back of your radiator, that your car is so the water's not going to ultimately run straight down the hill and make you soaking wet, because I ended up doing most of the coolant flush soaking in the stuff. Now, I use the hose first because the Chris Fix video, there's a mouthful, that I watched for changing out your radiator coolant was actually a radiator flush. So he did it multiple times, and first of all was just a basic flush through of the radiator to try and just knock out some of the gunk that may have potentially built up in there. So first time around I'm just using the hose, so I can fill the radiator and then just flush it straight back out again. After that we then go with distilled water before then putting the proper coolant in as the final, the final product. So after the first lot's run out, distilled water with my nice new purchase of a funnel to pour it in, but it's completely bloody hopeless. So I decided to do it without the funnel altogether. And then after the radiator's full, start the car up, warm it up. It opens up the thermostat and you get the water running right through the engine. So you're cleaning all of the water system of your engine completely. Oh, this is one I hadn't ever heard of before, burping your radiator. So, once it's done that and it's warm, you're going to have to drain that out, but you've got to let it cool down before you dump that water out, otherwise you'll end up burning yourself. So grab a drink or get your coolant organizer that's going to go in at the end. So I've got a good high temperature coolant because it's a race car. And again, just after it's cooled down, make sure you wait plenty long enough so that the coolant that's been running through the engine is nice and cool. Dump the last lot out before you fill it back up again with your good coolant. So Chris Fix, it was his channel that I watched before doing this one, because like I said, that's the first time I've ever played with the coolant system, like radiator and doing a coolant flush. Oh yeah, and this little guy, we took him out as well, the overflow bottle, and gave that a clean. The amount of gunk that was built up in that was unreal. And all of my old coolant went into this big old container, an old 20 litre container that I had, so that can be thrown away in the correct manner. And I used just the distilled water in here so that I can see as the radiator pumps a little bit of the coolant in there, I'll see that change colour, and I'll know that the hose that runs between the overflow bottle and the radiator isn't blocked. So that's a good little tip for you. Then we got on to climbing under the car and doing a little more weight reduction. Yep, that used to be the tow ball. My Hyundai Excel was rigged to tow stuff, but now it needs to be towed potentially out of a sand trap. So this is the tow point, the little bit of foam there, so that it you can see that foam sits there so it doesn't rattle around as I'm driving to and from the track. And I got my stickers set last time I was at Perth. We picked these up from Brent at Luxe Performance, so we put the sticker set on. I'll grab the front tow strap as well, so that's going on. This is the front engine cross member that we're attaching that to. A couple of cable ties, as is always necessary on a front bumper of your race car. Then I dropped a couple of bonnet pins on the bonnet, but I ran out of time, so we were going to do them later, because first I've got to put some stickers on it so that it'll go faster. And I've got one of these from Brent in Perth as well, so I figure I'll give him a big shout out. Thanks Luxe Performance for supplying some of my bits and pieces for my race car. You're a bloody champion. Here we go, off to Collie Motorplex. This is in the southwest of Western Australia. It's a nice, tight little track. There's a short track and a long track option. Today's test and tune that we're taking the Hyundai to is on the long track here at Collie Motorplex. The infield, the pit area is on the infield of the motorplex, so we've got to actually cross the track to get to the pits. So we get there nice and early so we can get into the pit area. Otherwise, we've got to go through the tunnel to get to the pit area. As you can see already in the XL there's plenty to still do. Need a new steering wheel or a racing steering wheel. The air conditioning switches and fan switches are still just hanging there in the empty void from where I've pulled some of the dashboard apart. I also need to put a seat in it, and we're driving there on the road tyres, but I do have my race tyres, so we fit them up before we head out for the first session. There was actually 3 Hyundai XLs on this particular day. Anna here, the clerk of course, she's wonderful. She actually has a Hyundai XL herself, but was on official duties and wasn't able to get out on the track and join in the fun. Anyway, the first session out, I'm chasing down Matt, my new friend in his Hyundai XL here. He's got a little bit of more tuning in his. He's got an exhaust, a better inlet, air inlet, as well as some firmer springs on his suspension. But he's running a standard road tyre, whereas I've got the Federal 595 RSR control tyres for the XL Cup series. And of course, being a test and tune day, there's all level and nature of vehicles, so there's some very experienced drivers in some very quick cars. There's some very quick cars with some inexperienced drivers. These were a couple of people out for a first time go. There were a couple of GT Falcons there that we've just overtaken. But everybody's out there doing, having a go within their own limits. There's no overtaking on corners during the test and tune day, so you're only allowed to overtake when you get to the straight, which makes it nice and safe and a bit reassuring for those people who are inexperienced, that they're not going to have somebody come and dive bomb them into the corners and overtake them in sort of some more advanced manoeuvres and advanced driving situations. So as you can see there, Matt fairly gets away from me down the straight, but I do manage to catch up with him, just having the better grip into the corners. We had a good time. Me chasing him around the track. Clunk. Did you hear that? There he goes. Anyway, I'll let you enjoy the lap. And that's the end of the first session of the day. Always great fun. I like the first session of the day where you get out there and get to shake the car down, and it's been a little while since you've been out on the track. We get to find our limits all over again. But now it's my turn to be chased. So we're going to swap here, but before we do, I've got a special guest joining me.
So that's recording now.
That's recording now. Hi!
Oh, good.
There we go. So Dad's got control of the GoPro at the moment, and here we are, out on track, Matt behind me. And this time it's my turn to be chased. I did manage to bend something. This is the connecting arm for the front sway bar. So we climbed underneath.
Four hands, making light work of I'm doing something that not necessary.
Front sway bar suspension linkage. Bent and
wasn't doing anything anyway.
And some evidence of it as well. Say good day, Matt.
So I removed these and I had a couple more laps with the sway bars cable tied up out of the way. But then to return the favour at lunchtime, Matt and I actually swapped tyres and I gave him a loan of my semi-slicks so that he could have a go and try a bit of grip for himself. I'm in the passenger seat with Matt. Risk now, of course, is he's probably going to want a set of his own.
thanks for watching, folks. Look, I really hope you enjoy watching what we're doing with the XL here. Coming up, I've just got a race seat just about ready to go in it, and I've recently picked up the harness, so we're going to fit that in there. I've also got the bonnet pins. I've got a battery isolation switch, which that part I've been procrastinating about because wiring still really scares me. So we got that coming up soon as well. I'm hoping to get my other vehicle out of the shed so that we can get the XL in here, spend some late nights and get some good hours spent on the project and bring it up to another level. So a few more bits and pieces in the pipeline to show you some videos on soon, hopefully. Really appreciate if you're watching this and enjoying it. Thank you for watching, and I hope that if there's any of you out there that are watching this because you're considering a Hyundai XL build yourself, one, that I've inspired you to have a crack, and you can see that, you know, it's not terribly difficult, although I probably make it seem more difficult than it is at times, but that there's plenty of people out there to help and support as well. There's lots of good videos online for the how-to side of things. I'm not very much of a how-to video creator. I'm more of a how-to video watcher, and then see if I can do it myself. So I'll take you along on the journey. So yeah, there's those things to look forward to if you want to keep watching. Cheers for checking out the Easy As Motorsports Garage YouTube channel. Cheers. Bye for now.